What do religion and alternative medicine have in common?
Hi folks, Dr. Bob McCauley. I wanted to go through this video because it really highlights everything about, in part, about my philosophy and my philosophy about health, what's made me so healthy at now 60 years old, and religion. And what you're going to see here from Drew, our old friend Drew, from Genetically Modified Skeptic. Drew was raised in a religious family. He rejected all that. He finally got reason, and he rejected that. And along with what he rejected, everything from faith, everything from God, and everything apparently from nature, or what he calls alternative medicine. So to do anything like what I'm doing, it's really just a giant fraud. And it takes this great act of faith. And if you don't have faith in what I do, well, it's not going to work for you. Well, it will. I've said 1,000 times, we are all genetically 99.999 genetically identical to one another. Identical. We're the most genetically identical species on the planet. And what works for me works for you. And in the beginning, certain things may not work well for you, other things because you're here in your health and I'm maybe over here. So this works really well, and plus I have a different constitution. So yeah, getting to this point is different for everybody, but what works for me will literally work for everybody. And that's why I say an infant, once they've weaned an infant and an infant begins to eat food, you can just treat them exactly like a tiny adult and start giving them all the raw fruits and vegetables and spirulina and chlorella. You do it in powder form and all this kind of stuff, just as you would with any other adult. But we're going to get into this because this will highlight the difference between my philosophy which is, of course, I have great faith in God. I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I have great faith. This is the temple God gave us. And when you put the right things into it that God made, raw fruits and vegetables, this kind of thing, your great health will follow. And if you want to put your faith in science, well, we'll get into that too.
Applying arguments that I had against alternative medicine really led me out of my own personal faith in the past. The similarities between alternative medicine and religion are pretty striking. The claims of both rely on anecdotal evidence. The most substantial evidence you could ever give someone are stories of redemption and healing of people just like you. While the religious call these stories testimonies, the naturopath calls them testimonials. There's really not that much difference.
First of all, why do we need to use testimonials? Why do we need to, rely on people saying, yeah, this worked? Because no pharmaceutical is going to go out there and spend $1 billion to test the efficacy of garlic and tell you what it can do for you, because then they couldn't control the product. So you rely on this kind of thing. So suddenly anybody who says, hey, this worked for me, you're just it's all in your head. It's all in your head. Well, it's not in your head. I mean, there's ways we can test for this. It's not just, I took this and I think I feel better. You can test your blood pressure. I test my blood pressure constantly. Pick your finger. You can go down for a blood test. I mean, there's lots of ways. You can go out to the store now and get all sorts of different tests. You can test your cholesterol, your blood sugar. I mean, there's lots of things you can do to see if something's working. And of course, in the end, how do you feel? Can you walk a lot faster this month than you could last month because you've been, changing your diet and getting more healthy?
They both rely on placebo. Say you have a headache. Prayer, if believed, can give some temporary relief. And herbal cures, quantum healing, what have you, can do the exact same. Expectation of relief can bring relief, but that's only a short-term fix. But if you have something like a brain tumor, you're going to need to see long-term effects, and placebo is no help. Alternative medicine and prayer offer absolutely no solution there.
Yes, if you've got cancer, you don't want to depend on a placebo. So everything that I do is a placebo, and therefore if you get brain cancer, don't go to anybody like me. You better go run to science. Go run to man. Don't depend on what nature can do for you. So does a placebo? No, it better not be a placebo, because if you got cancer and you maintain an incredibly powerful mental attitude and you pray and all this kind of stuff, your cancer is not going to go away. You have got to do both. Now, if you do all my other six component of my health protocol, which is alkaline ionized water, spirulina and chlorella, raw fruits and vegetables, probiotics and prebiotics of fermented foods, minerals, making sure you stay mineralized. I like liquid angstrom minerals, and a vigorous exercise every single day. If you do all those things and this is against you, you're going to die. Okay? If you do only this and this is with you and you don't do any of the other things, you're still going to die. You're not going to overcome cancer. You got to do something. Okay? So this idea that those, you have a headache and it's a placebo effect to pray and it'll have it go away. Well, it may be or may not. But placebo is one thing, cancer's another. I have a cancer protocol, and I tell people if you really follow it, this is what I would do if I had cancer. I'm not going to tell you it's going to cure you because I don't know what your lifestyle is going to be, but if I had cancer, I would do this, and there's no placebo there.
Confirmation bias runs rampant in people in both camps. It's easy to remember the hits and forget the misses. Religious people do it all the time when something good happens in their life, and they chalk it up to God. Alternative medicine fans do the exact same thing. They'll tell you about times when some natural remedy cured their mom's cancer, but they'll conveniently forget all the times when that same natural cure didn't live up to the hype. When you can only remember things that confirm what you already believe, of course you're going to hold to that.
So I don't have one herb that really will go out and cure cancer, or one herb that will cure diabetes or anything like that. Again, it's lifestyle changes. That's what I recommend. And I just recommend people live the way I'm living. And I have these incredible test results, my blood results. Look at my YouTube channel. I put them out there. Look at my blog.watershed.net. It's all out there. I don't try to hide it. I try to be as transparent as possible. If something isn't working, I'm going to change it. But this idea that it's all just confirmation bias. So I knew this was going to happen, so it happened. I wish it was that way, because I wish I could know that when I eat this big pizza, that great health will result. And it's confirmation bias is basically what you're doing right here, Drew. You don't look for faith, and so you don't see faith. You don't look for God, and you don't see God. I'll just put out a quick little ditty for you. You probably have heard this somewhere. To the pure, all is pure, and to the corrupt, all is corrupt. You take people from the mafia. The whole world is a corrupt place. Everything is evil. You look at a saint and they think that the world is a beautiful place. So a lot of it has to do with perception. So this idea of confirmation bias, or I see miracles where they don't exist, well, there's one thing that you can never argue about, and that's faith. Science, we can argue all day about science, and that's one we're going to get into next here.
Both the religious and alternative medicine users stay willfully ignorant or even reject science. It's obvious why both camps would reject science. Their claims simply aren't backed up by it. But what's really striking is when religious people and alternative medicine users both claim that science is some kind of conspiracy, either to kill God or to keep poor people sick so that rich people can keep getting richer.
Well, here's the biggest fallacy of all, the idea that I reject science. Well, I constantly am using science. I use these herbal extracts. I depend on, the studies to look at those things and see what has this really worked? Is the claim that, for instance, frankincense really is good is an anti-cancer herb? Do we have any studies for that? And you go out to PubMed and you start looking, and you'll find either you're going to find studies that support that or you won't. There's all sorts of things out there you can do, but the science, reject science. Science reveals God's creation. So the idea that we reject science, I don't reject science one bit. But I don't know why a long time ago science as a whole decided to leave God out of the equation, right? God doesn't exist. You never hear a scientist saying, the way that God made the universe. No. We have to pretend that God doesn't exist and that He didn't create everything, and we're going to explain it all. And so I don't know. You come into the world. I don't know how it began. I don't know how it's going to end. What atheists and scientists say. Of course, scientists know everything. So the three most important questions in life, I think, are, how did the universe get here? Why am I here in the universe? And where do I go when I'm dead? And science has said, I don't have a clue, we don't have a clue, and we don't have a clue. And religion really attempts to answer those things, and it does so through faith.
As if every scientist is in on some kind of plot to scam the common man so that they can get richer. It's just absolutely ridiculous. This fundamental distrust of science really comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of it in the first place. This is also why I personally think that it's so easy for very religious people to buy into alternative medicine. I mean, they already reject science entirely.
Now, I don't believe that there's any conspiracy between scientists. I think there are plenty of people out there with an agenda that call themselves scientists or get scientists with the same, that are like-minded and try to push a political agenda. That goes on all the time. You can call that a conspiracy if you want, but scientists are conspiring no more than church leaders are conspiring. Nobody's conspiring. I don't think so.
Who position themselves against science. Lastly, both religion and alternative medicine manipulate people in order to sell their message. They manipulate their fear and their guilt especially. Several religions, especially monotheistic ones, threaten eternal torture if you don't buy into their message.
Well, we had, this eternal damnation. We had this Pope recently came out and he said, there's no hell. And people kind of flipped out in the Catholic Church and around the world and Christians everywhere. And I think, probably a lot of people of all religions and all faiths flipped out because there is a hell. There is a thing that happens to you after you die when you haven't been a good person. There is judgment. And the idea of you're scaring people with it, we should be scared of that. We should, the beginning of wisdom is fear of God. It doesn't mean we have this tyrant up in the sky who we better listen to or else. We just need to know that our success comes by following God and by following His ways. That's all. But this idea that these are scare tactics.
Whereas a lot of alternative medicine manufacturers will claim that everything else out there besides their product is really just trying to poison you or take advantage of you. Both of those are scare tactics, and they're both absolutely abhorrent. Religion will often use people's guilt over their own wrongdoings to get them to spread their own message. Whereas alternative medicine companies will often say, if you're not investing in our product, you're not investing in your own health, in your own family's health.
Well, there are plenty of companies out there that do that sort of thing. I'm not one of them. I don't push so hard. But I will tell you should invest in your health. There's no doubt about it. I mean, what's more important than your health? Well, the most important thing to Drew, is your health. To me, it's my relationship with God. But to you, Drew, it's your health. Because number two to me is my health. You say, well, that's pretty selfish. What about your family? So I don't know where you put yourself or your health or your family. You should think about that right now, Drew. You should think, where do I put things? Where do I put my health? Where do I put myself? Where do I put my family? Where do I put my friends in my life? What's most important? I got God, I got health, and then I have family. Okay, the reason I have myself and my health, it's really not me, but it's my health. What good am I my family if I'm a burden? What good of me to my family if I'm become a dead weight, not an earner, I become a deficit instead of a credit, if you will. What good am I? I'm not. I can't go out and earn money for the family. I can't take care of them. I can't protect them. If somebody breaks into the house, I'm too sick. I need to take care of myself so I can take care of them. That's my philosophy. But yeah, I put God first.
They'll even go as far as saying that you're effectively poisoning your family, your own children, if you're not buying into our remedy. When you don't have any evidence for your claims, using emotional manipulation is a great way to get your message out there. That's exactly why both religion and alternative medicine do exactly that.
Where are you on that scale, Drew? Answer in the comments below, or make a rebuttal video to this. I'm just curious. Where are you in your atheist world there, in your godless atheist world, where science is king, where you've run to science and replaced God with science? Where are you? Where is your family? Where are your friends? Where is your health? I mean, what's most important to you? Is it going to be just this vague thing of love or whatever? I mean, that's fine. I'm not calling you out or anything. I'm just asking, where are you? Where are the atheists on this scale? God is here for me, okay? And then I take care of my health so I can take care of my family. And I try to honor the temple that God gave me and keep it as clean as possible. It's working really well. I mean, the results are amazing. I'm 60 and they're just perfect. I can still run a 6-minute mile. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you what I can do. Okay, and I feel great. I have tons of energy, and I find out new things. I don't have all the answers, but I've got so many because I'm constantly learning. But where are you, and where are all the other atheists? I challenge all the atheists. I just want to know, where are you on this scale? Where do you come into this? Because to me, again, you have removed God, And you've reduced, religion to this vagaries of superstition, when really, if you get into it and you go look at something called the Bible Code, if you think that the Bible Code could exist without there being a great intelligence and great mind behind the Bible that created it, you're out of your mind. You're just giving you one example. I mean, we could go on. This is a health program, but I'm just showing you, when you want to reduce something so simple, so complicated, so complex and beautiful as religion to just some silly superstitions and people, getting people scared out there to go promote my religion so I can stick money in my pocket if I'm a preacher. And I'm doing the same thing here. I just want to stick money in my pocket. Honestly, folks, the truth is, I'm not like getting rich here. I kind of wish I was getting a little richer, but that's beside the point. I'm just laughing all the way to the bank. The truth of the matter is, I don't go to the bank quite often enough. Let's put it that way. But I challenge everybody out there to just kind of take a step back and look and tell me what doesn't work and what does. Because what I do, I look at the science, but that's not my God. And I do, believe in science. No, I believe in God. But I rely on science because, I say it again, science reveals God's creation. And that's what it does. And to believe in it, yeah, I rely on it. It's a great tool. And of course, there's, it really answers the questions for us in the end. But don't think these scientific studies for 1 second are going to settle anything. If you don't, go back and look at my video. It's titled, Science Settles Everything.
Obligation to set the record straight so that people don't die.
Because I've got so much science, and that's real science.
What will it?
Dr. Davis, all of your studies that you have mentioned are all correlative, not causative.
No,
this is kids' diets.
Oh my God.
And replace it with
Of a serving of meat a week. In Okinawa, they have 80% of their calories from carbohydrates. This is the most unscientific discussion I've ever had in my life.
why don't
Stop for 1 second. That is not science. That's a lie, Travis.
It's the science. Science and the studies settle everything. They don't settle anything in the end. Okay, you can only depend on science for so much. Well, there's a lot more to say here, but I just wanted to put that out there, comparing what I do to religion and saying this is all a bunch of superstitious and this is just confirmation bias and a placebo effect and all that. I will just say this: have you done what I'm doing? Okay. I've lived the lifestyle that you've lived, from which you're probably just a meat and potatoes, cooked food guy. I've lived that. I lived that for 40 years, and then I changed over to this. So unless you've lived this, you shouldn't really talk until you've tried it. Dr. Bob McCauley. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. I've been Drew from Genetically Modified Skeptic. Stay skeptical.
Visit us at watershed.net. And this has been Bob with Genetically Identical Believer. Stay healthy, stay faithful.
Because I've got so much science